Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Serbian Corner, new episode show where a couple of Serbians talk about the Nuggets. And here we are on camera now on DNVR YouTube channel, DNVR Nuggets podcast feed. My name is Voya, hailing to you from Lincoln, Nebraska. With me today is Miroslav, as always. What's up, man? How's it going?
It's a wonderful day in Pančevo, Serbia. I've just returned from my pickup basketball game. I'm so happy after 2 weeks absence. I'm feeling pumped, even though the Nuggets are on a downward spiral right now. Hopefully, we will lift the spirits now and go to the next game tomorrow on a high note.
Yeah, as both of us are engineers and like math people, I would say we're on a sinusoidal path this year. So we just have
Yeah,
to see where the peak hits.
yeah.
Last peak and last dip.
Yeah, let's hope for the sinusoidal. Yeah, going up again.
We just gotta time it so the playoffs are on the upwards trajectory and not on
That's
the
right.
downwards. So what we do on the show is a weekly recap of Nuggets basketball, some quick takeaways, main themes, disagreements, anything else we have. So first off, we're just gonna talk about that Jokic was the player of the month for January. He tied Alex English and Carmelo Anthony, which is pretty cool to see. And like something that coming from Serbia, like you never think you're gonna get a player that gets to that level in the NBA. We know a lot of players are good to be in the NBA, but we don't expect like NBA to know that they're that good. So this is fun with Jokic being a top dog right now. So, any thoughts on that player of the month? I mean, the stats are just staggering. Like,
honestly, I was a bit surprised because Devin Booker had a great month. He had really good numbers and a better record than Nikola, but I guess because at the moment they've announced that Jokic is the player of the month, he was still the Kia MVP ladder leader on the NBA.com. So I think they figured we need to give this guy at least 1 month. It doesn't make any sense to have 0 months and then we give him MVP at the end of the season. So I guess that
and it
was
was
the
weird. Like
reason about it.
that month, that those stats, the week that put him over, that was the week that he didn't even win the player of the week. It was
That's
that
right.
last week that was the 5 in a row and all that. So that was pretty funny, just in general, like that. But it is cool. I mean, to see, just honestly, being up there. So what we'll do now is we'll go into our first segment is the rakia shots. So a Serbian national drink, alcoholic, usually taken before dinner, so to make a toast. So usually the segment is what is like a quick headline, something that really like made an impression, draw our attention this week, like that we can kind of put in a small glass and drink quickly. So do you want to start, or should I with my shots?
Yeah. Let's start with yours. It's interesting.
So mine is the Serbian Heritage Heritage night against the Bucks. So it was in Milwaukee. Quickly, just I mean, Nuggets have to do that. Like it don't no being no beating around the bush around that topic. Like Harrison Wind said it that in 7 years, it's embarrassing that it hasn't been done yet. And I agree, honestly. Like Milwaukee did a really nice. I mean, did a really nice job. They have a big community of Serbians over there. I have a friend that she also lived there for her masters, and there was a lot of our people there. And every time Nuggets play there, it's a lot of fans in the stands with the flags and stuff. But again, I think even doesn't matter to me like that. That maybe there's less Serbians in Denver. I think the fans are getting to know our culture, and I think they would appreciate it knowing even more because they're always hungry. I mean, this is the reason why one of the reasons why we have the show, because fans always want to hear about Serbia, and because how Jokic represents himself and how he talks about it and always goes there in his off season. So that would be kind of cool. And the thing I don't agree with, so Adam I think he was on Locked to Nuggets, and he talked to Matt, and he said basically like, oh, I don't know if Jokic cares. I was being someone that like left his country in like pursuit of something that I couldn't get there. It's very nice always to see people from there, and to see like someone appreciate the culture. And then knowing I'm from Midwest, like Colorado's really close, kind of similar people in that way, even though they have a rivalry with Nebraska. People are very curious, like they're not condescendingly curious. They don't dismiss it as like offhand, like, oh, who cares, it's a small country. They actually are curious to find out, because the fact is they don't know, they don't get taught same way in school about geography and world history and like world culture, as because it's such a large country of their own that it can study enough of their own time to devote to their own country. So Serbia obviously gets like left behind in that case, but they're actually curious. So I think like they really have to do this. Like it would be such a cool night, especially you start off with something that even introductions are done. You can put like Cyrillic letters under like guys' names you don't have to do it on a jersey, but like on the big screens with their original names. Do the colors for that game like they're in Serbian flag, like maybe even get like little flags distributed to fans in the stands. So like something like that would be really interesting, because in Chicago and Milwaukee are doing both of that, and it looks always cool. So at least one night a year, like they can be like the December 15th or the or like Orthodox Christmas, like one of those days that are interesting to do like a show. Yeah, what do you think about that?
I agree. I think they're a bit afraid that people would get bored with it, but they could try ramping it up a bit. Just start with some little things daily. Just do some little memorabilia connected to Serbia, and then at one point when people are already like a cooked frog, in the nice temperature, at one point they will just not care, and they will enjoy the show, because it's a really nice. If you do the folklore thing, the folklore dancing from Serbia, you can have some really attractive dances there, and I think it's really worthwhile doing it, and to show the appreciation for the MVP of the league, because I don't think he doesn't care. Every time I hear him answering the questions in Serbian on the post-game media availabilities, he is really very incisive there, because he feels comfortable speaking, and we'll talk about that a bit later. So I think it would be a good idea, and there is no real excuses for not doing it in the future.
Yeah, I agree. So yeah, we'll go. This was just basically it was half of our Serbian fun fact segment that we usually do. So now we can actually go to some of the game stuff. It's your shots now, so you have an interesting one too.
Yes, we think we know for most of guys on our roster what they are, and I still don't think I know a lot about two guys that are more or less fighting for the same minutes on the rotation, and those are Bryn Forbes and Davon Reed. And I know it looks like it's like a bit from me to talk about Bryn Forbes for third week in a row, but there are some things I've noticed, and I like to share with you. I really enjoy the visual part of Bryn Forbes' experience, because he looks like he is on his maximum effort at all times on both sides of the court. His head is always kind of shaking, like he's patrolling the court at all times. He's always in a low stance, and that really bears fruits for him on offense, of course, when he hits his shots. And he's always ready to shoot and make those one or two dribbles toward the basket before making a 2-point jumper or a floater. He really goes all the way to the cup. His passing still looks solid, nothing spectacular, but he doesn't make a lot of mistakes. And we've seen a lot of good offense really this week, especially against Utah, when he scored 26 points on 13 shots from the field, which is pretty impressive from the bench. But on defense, that focused approach has zero impact. And of course, everybody talked about it. This is not something new. I don't think he's faking the effort and focus. It's just that he looks like he weighs 90 pounds. Yeah. So you can just go through him whenever you want. He's always late on closeouts. And you can literally take the rebound from him, even when it looks like there is no way he's not catching it. I've seen it a couple of times this week. And as Adam often says, there are guys that look to be laid back, like ball, so you think they don't give effort. And there are some guys that can fake it by looking fierce all the time, like Pat Beverly. And Forbes is neither. He gives it all, and it doesn't make any difference on defense. How do you feel about him moving
Yeah,
forward?
but it does when you pointed out, we like texted us a couple of days ago and you pointed that out, and like it's so funny that it actually is true, because you're right. Like when you look at it, and if you don't really pay attention to what the play development is, you be like, oh wow, like he's really like a
Look at
good
him.
defender. He's like going at it. You're like, oh wow, like he actually just blew by him, or just, I mean, walked him to the hoop, not even like blew by. Like blew by, you would notice, but he was there and he played like good defense, but then it just like people just score. I think it just. I mean, I also think it depends on like who he's guarding and who he's playing against. Obviously, the offensive part I really liked the Utah game, and I just in general I like. I don't care that. I mean, obviously I care. We lost the game. He was 2-11 yesterday. If he makes a few more, it's a different different type of game. But the fact he's like that's his job. Like I'm glad that they're not stifling him. As in, you go out there, you do what you're supposed to do. Like when you get out of a screen and you see an opening, just shoot it. Like pump fake, shoot it. That kind of stuff. I mean, that was my thing with Davon Reed. Like decisiveness. Like it's always, because there's nothing, especially for that high caliber of basketball that's going on. You can't have a moment of self doubt or like hesitation in like not in like a hezi, but like a hesitation of like what should I do? The Forbes is like, okay, I'm here to shoot. I'm shooting. So that's what I like, and the defense is funny. But like I told everyone here, and in the Nugget Serbia podcast, they're like, don't expect Forbes to be the savior. Like he was brought in for shooting and only shooting basically. Like no one was expecting him to be, I don't know, like Avery Bradley from like the good years in the Celtics. Like so that's basically my take. Like, do you wanna talk about a little bit more about rotation and what you
Yeah,
think
I
about
wanted to touch
distribution?
a bit on Davon Reed, and then we can move to that. And I'm sorry to everybody because these comments are a bit late. I am the one doing the production today, so I'm an old head. So sorry about that. I hope to get better during
Yeah,
the
don't worry
show.
about it. Like, it's only two of us. Like,
Yeah. So about Davon Reed, he had a couple of DMP CDs 2 weeks ago, and now he's back and playing well. He had that post-game media appearance when he said his place is in the NBA, not on margin, but in a real role. He believes in his shot. He knows he's a defensive presence. He is very savvy with the ball, very rarely makes mistakes, though. He made a bad mistake late in the game last night that probably put the nail in the coffin of that loss against the
do
Pels.
you think about the pass?
Yeah, the pass. Yeah.
So okay, I talked about a few minutes ago over there in Serbian. I still half of the blame goes to Barden to me on that one. You can't like so he notices, Devon Reed notices Herb Jones trying to jump the pass. Jump the pass. He doesn't pass it. His mistake was even trying to like force it when Barton didn't even like try to get a better position. He just took a step around. Like in those cases, when you see an aggressive defender, you go in his body and separate, because the point of that motion even was Jokic gets the ball to Reed and Reed gets it to Barton, and then they go into the actual set where Jokic will go pick and roll or like some other movements that Barton will be the main ball handler. So if they know that. I mean, like Herb Jones is smart. Like he knows that's the play, and as I'm saying, like it's not only Reed. Obviously, he shouldn't have passed it, but again, he's a role player on a 2-way that he knows that's the set that they were supposed to run, and Barton's calling for the ball, but not getting into position to call it. So as a veteran, I would even it's 50-50, but maybe even like 51-49 on Barton's culpability, just because of that fact. Because it's easy to be like, oh, what is he doing? Like, shouldn't have passed it. But it's not Jamal Murray, or Monte. Like in that case, Monte just turns around, because basically then Herb Jones is out of the picture because he's that aggressive, and then just attacks the pick and roll with Jokic. In this case, he's like doing what he's supposed to do, and Barton's not helping him in that way. So that's my only like umbrage with that pass, because we would only blaming Davon Reed there, because I think that
Yeah.
shows that he actually knows the plays, like he knows the playbook, he knows what he's supposed to do. So.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
that's right. And about the other guys, contesting for that let's say backup shooting guard role. How do you feel about those two guys compared to Austin Rivers? Who has the most how to say, trust
Inside
from
track,
Malone.
like yeah. I mean, I still think like the unfortunate thing is I think still like Austin Rivers. Well, no, maybe not unfortunate. Like there's everyone has the stuff that they know how to do like decently, and they have like kind of specialties. I just think like we talked about Austin Rivers as a Jokic player last week, and Reed obviously fits more. Like Austin Rivers is not an anti Jokic player, but Reed, I think, is a better type of Jokic player. Like I talked about his decisiveness, like quick decision making, like knowing the playbooks, like everything, and then just like even the quality of shots, like his jump shot looks good, like he makes it. So and I mean, he made a really good one in the corner in the second half. Like he had a pump, like a basically he did it Austin Rivers, like a jab step, and then rose up and nailed that. It was a big shot at that point for him too. And so I think like it's going to be hard for him to do, especially when Jamal gets back. Then you have to reconfigure maybe some stuff. But I mean, I like Harrison. It's kind of goes with the theme of the week with DNVR too. Is like Harrison wrote about Davon Reed, and the guys talked about should he get more minutes. And I think he should. Like at least in this, before the All Star break, like you have maybe some guys that play the whole season, kind of going like, oh, I just want a little break, and you have this guy on a two-way that wants to prove himself. Just use him, like use that energy, like make him get in there, and he might, he did a good job like the last week, so he's one of the bright spots, like him and Zeke, basically in the from the whole week, like so. Yeah, it's what do you I mean? What's your guard breakdown? What do you think for?
Yeah, I'm not trying to put my own opinions here because it doesn't matter. It only matters what Michael Malone thinks, and I think he has the most trust in Austin Rivers. Although having Davon Reed starting last game is a big leap of faith
That
from
was
him.
interesting. Yeah.
So yeah, I didn't expect that, and I really like to see that. So who knows? He showed that he is willing to experiment a bit. I mean, we already had like 3 games with 0 Facu minutes, or was it 2 games?
Even with Utah, with so many people missing.
Yeah. So he kind of went the other way. It doesn't mean it's permanent. It could be that it's related to some kind of trade talk. I have no idea. I have no insight on that. But I don't think Facu is out of rotation permanently. But it is kind of it kind of looks like he's trying to go the other way and see if it brings better results.
Sure, I mean, and that's what we were like. That's what we can ask from Malone at this point with this many like variables inside the roster. You got to experiment. Like that was my like that's why I'm not upset about this week at all. Just because of like he first one you had back-to-back 6 games, nine nights, all that stuff, and then just try different things. Like if Gordon's not there, then try like Reed, see what happens. And he did a good job on Ingram. And then you said with Facu, like okay, he can rest up a bit now. Maybe he comes back after the All-Star break at some points. But that's everyone's complaining, including me, was complaining that Malone's inflexible. Well, he's showing that he's really not. It's just like he's doing it in like increments. He's not doing like major shifts. Like he's not doing Steve Nash from last year in Brooklyn when he just reshuffles the starting lineup like by 60% in like from game to game, or like for a couple of games. So I think it's good. Like, I mean, I like it. Just I want to see everyone in different positions. And then again, what Adam said in the comments, you can expect some of these lineups to have low mistakes, like with how many different, like Zeke and Reed are closing, and there's going to be mistakes. And so, which kind of brings me like let's move on to our Euro take foul because that kind of fits like what I was going to go with, like with Zeke and Gordon differences. So this is one of the it's worst things in basketball, and so this is something we want to highlight. Like maybe it was the worst of the week, something we really didn't like. So you had this like theme, topic for us for the worst thing, like paid defense without Gordon, right?
Yeah. It looked really bad last night.
Yeah.
Paint defense was awful. For years, I kept saying that the biggest issue on Nuggets defense is frontline defense and dribble penetration. But man, last night it was Big Val, Herb Jones, Jackson Hayes doing whatever they wanted in the paint. Almost 60 paint points, completely canceled a pretty hot shooting night from the Nuggets, who made 11 more threes than the Pels in today's NBA,
That's
if you
strange.
score
Yeah.
11 more threes and still lose, that's a really bad game from you.
Yeah.
Last week, I said I like Nikola's in-game pacing, where he picks his spots on both sides of the court. But this time, he took it too far on defense, I think. Yeah, there are some issues on offense. He didn't handle some hard doubles as well as he usually does, but his defensive effort was really bad. The absence of Aaron Gordon was really, really obvious. And since Jeff Green had a pretty pedestrian game as well, Zeke Nagy wasn't going to save you because he is only one guy and he is in his second year and he doesn't have the authority with the refs to be allowed to guard somebody without fouling. We had that foul on him at really one of the last possessions of this game that could have turned the game over. But yeah,
There was one.
we can now see how bad it is without Gordon, and
Yeah,
it really shows why he is the second most important player on the Nuggets right now.
yeah, that's right. I mean, and Patrick says in the comment, Jeff Green is a no-show for too often. I mean, it's again, we talked about playing outside your roles and stuff. He wasn't. I don't think he was brought here to do Gordon's job. And you said it with like Zeke, and it's not only like the the experience with reffing and not getting called fouls. Like it's just experience with Jokic, just knowing what other guy thinks, like that chemistry of not only on offense but defense, like knowing where the guy's gonna go, like what step he's gonna take in the middle of the paint when he needs to recover, and get on help. Like there was a possession at like it was 103-100, and it was that after that Monte big three. Is that before that it was the 103-97 was the Herb Jones interception.
Yeah, that's right.
And it was basically the end of the game, but then Monte had that big shot that was kind of out of nowhere, and that could have kind of brought it, from the dead. And so that was the possession after that. There was Jokic and Zeke collided in the paint when we were supposed to cover. So they had that like Valanciunas was like going around from the other side of the paint. He was cutting in the middle and had the hook shot for 105-100. And in that case, like because they were doing screens, they collided. So basically, they just hindered. They got in each other's way. And if Gordon was there, I think they would have known how to like get next to each other, past each other, and Gordon probably would have recovered that and came out on that hook shot, or they would have collided and Jokic would have been the one that covers. Like you see, Jokic sees what's happening, but then Zeke's in his way because of just the positioning, and that's that experience. Like he knows, and Zeke knows defense is just individual defense. For me at least, is like much easier to master when first, because you go one, it's one on one. You're seeing the defender in front of you, but then that team defense is much harder, and it just takes experience. You can't just watch a film and learn exactly from it, or just play one on one. It has to be that 5-on-5, and then in game situations. So that's another reason why we were missing Gordon, and that was one of the reasons that Millsap had a lot of starts in Denver, because he knew also that role, how to do it differently than Gordon, not athletically, vertically, but also kind of like Jokic. Just he was covering space and being good at it, so it covers up a lot of point of attack issues that Nuggets had. And there's both. Now it was both backline and point of attack. So that was definitely the worst thing.
Yeah, I agree. Really,
because there's also bad. Vando from in Minnesota doing like similar things that Herb Jones was doing, and you kind of throw your hands up in the air, like whatever.
Yeah. So are we gonna move to the Burek of the week now?
Let's go to our best thing. So Burek is that nice juicy pastry dish. Either comes with cheese, spinach, meat, something like very it's very fatty and rich. And I'm hungry now, so I can describe it a little detailed. And it was Jokic used to eat it a lot when he was younger. He used to eat that with Coke. Coca-Cola. And so that's why we picked it as our segment. So for people that don't know, so this is the big one, and it might be a little longer talk. Like we're going to talk about the fun stress ratio of playing with Jokic, and then we're gonna get some fun stress ratios of other superstars maybe in the league. So
Yeah,
you
let's
came up with this idea. Let's start
yeah
us
let's
off with
let's let's engineer the shit out of this topic. So
let's do it.
let's make the ranking for different superstars as well. But first question bears is it easy to play next to a superstar? Not
No,
really. If
of
you
course
have a
not.
superstar next to you, that probably means you're a role player and that you always have to be on the tip of your toes. Let's start with the stress part. The biggest stress Nikola's teammate probably feels when sharing the court with him is him raising the hands in disgust after a bad read. When Nikola is surrounded by too many guys that do not understand his complex plays, he will cut them some slack and literally draw the action on the court. We've seen it several times this season. It's really fun for
Yeah.
us outside of the court.
Yeah.
I don't know how fun it is for the guys there. Funny
Yeah,
enough,
it was Miss Love's best thing when we did it earlier. He was saying that that's the thing that makes him laugh the most when he like tells people on the court where to go. It's
yeah,
always hilarious because like, somehow it works when it ends up happening.
yeah, that's right. It really is funny because the opposition players do not know how to counter that, even though
Yeah,
he says everything out loud on the court. Everybody needs several hundred minutes, maybe more, on the court with Nikola
yeah,
to lower that stress level. And some guys, not all of them, never get it. But when you get over that hump and learn how to read and react off of his moves on the court, you're only left with the part of stress connected to the need to actually hit the wide open shot you just get. That's why the guys who are willing to thrive in Jokic ball system, layups and dunks have a lot higher probability of going in than the open threes. Now for the fun part. Are you kidding me? When you make the right read, you will either dunk, shoot an uncontested shot, or enable another guy to do the same, with all basketball nerds and also coaches and scouts noticing how smart you are and that you made the right play in a brilliant system, even if it doesn't show on the box score. When you make several good offensive plays in a row, you can see everybody enjoying being on the court. With all of this being said, though, my assessment of the stress fun ratio, or is it fun? No, fun stress
fun
ratio.
stress for sure.
Yeah, let's stay on the point. In a Jokic ball system, for an average NBA player, is 1/2. Do I say it right? 1/2.
So you think it's more stressful than
It's
than
more stressful than it's fun for the first
one,
or for the first 3 months next to Jokic, and then it goes to 2/3,
1 to 1. Yeah.
2/3 in next 3 months, and then for the rest of the season and in the next season it drops to 1 or below, 1/1 or below, and in second and third season it goes well below
Yeah.
2/1. Yeah, 2/1. So it's much more fun than it is stressful. Now, Jokic had 66 teammates so far in Denver.
Oh,
Yeah,
damn.
yeah, I counted it. Yeah, it wasn't an easy task. Half of them have played for only one season with him or less. So my super scientific calculation here gives an average fun stress ratio of 1/1. So on average, you get the same
It's just
amount of fun
even,
and
yeah.
stress next to
Yeah.
Jokic. Of course, if you're a guy like Jamal Murray and you play with Nikola for 6 years and you know how he breathes and thinks, I think it's like 5-1, whatever. But until then,
Agreed.
yeah.
Yeah,
What do you say?
I think I agree with you, especially at the beginning, and especially with guys like coming in, because the especially when they don't know him, the weird, like with the raising your hand and grabbing grabbing his head when he's unsatisfied for play. I mean, it can be like also condescending. Like you come in and you're a professional basketball player, and like a guy's treating you like you're a dummy of the class that that can't do his homework right. Which again, sometimes it maybe is applicable, but we don't know it. But it just looks kind of off. And that was one of the things that he, leadership wise, he still, I think he still should be working on. It's just sometimes it's like you can't control it because you're in that element, because he's such a savant that sometimes I'm sure he doesn't understand how someone doesn't understand what he sees as well. And so I know that that would be probably a stress part for the teammates of like everyone knows that he knows more than everyone. And so like you make a mistake, and you're like, oh, what's he gonna think? Or like, oh, I have to make the shot because he made it look so good. Like those, cross court like zips that no one even expects. You gotta somehow get an open shot, and you're like, oh my god, now I gotta make it because otherwise everyone's gonna grow, not just Jokic. Yeah, so I agree. Like there's a significant because on the surface it looks, oh my god, it's so much fun to play with him. Every player, old player, goes like, oh, this is like it would be so much fun to play. Like he's the best, will be the best type of teammate. And I agree, like what you said, like when someone's intelligent from the start, like when Monte showed up first, I think he already like as soon as he got there, he was already I think fitting in. But then sometimes some guys are just not in that on that level, and they don't have that comfortability. I mean, just one example of like the similar style stuff is like Oubre in Warriors and Oubre in Hornets, just different what was expected and
Yeah.
what was given to him as his duties. Like it's very different. So I think that's kind of similar. Like with Jokic, and I think he also has to be aware of that as well. Like what you said, when he knows someone's new, then he's more lenient, but then he demands of certain players more. And Ray said he reminds him of LeBron in that way, which I guess to a level, I think that's the case. That I think he's less passive aggressive, I guess, on towards his teammates than LeBron is. He has this genuine, like he has an earnest reaction when someone makes a mistake. But after that, like he's good. Like he's not gonna hold that. Next time, he's not gonna think about I'm not gonna pass to you because last time you made a mistake. He's still gonna do it. It's just that he's trying to Adam had that list thing when he tells PJ where to be, and then PJ learns after a couple of possessions. Then he has an easy dunk. So that kind of stuff. But I'm sure like PJ Dozier had a stress level of a couple of those. First time you talk to him, then the second time, and then the third time when he dunks, then it's like, wow, this is fun as hell. And Gordon basically, I think we can track your formula with like last season when he got here. It was like super, it was fun, but still like you have to learn some stuff. And then this year you see the chemistry, you're like, this is the best situation ever. So
He's having so much fun, man.
yeah,
I love watching those two play together. It's just music. It really
yeah,
is.
yeah, I agree. And well, another thing is well, we talked about the other. We talked about the other players, but just to wrap up on Jokic. Um, well, first off, what do you think? What do you think you would have fun playing with him?
Oh, well, I would have fun for those 5 minutes before my coach threw me out because I was shooting every ball that got to me. So yeah, I'm not. I actually am a passer when I feel like I'm in a smart system. So let's pretend that I'm actually an NBA player, and my playing style would actually fit with him pretty well. He would hate me on defense, so I cannot pretend that I'm an NBA defender as well. So I would probably be a slower and a less accurate version of Bryn Forbes. So not great. But
Yeah,
I would enjoy him playing in
yeah.
that system for sure.
I'm on the same. I think on the same level. I think I would. Obviously, there would be a sliver of stress, but I think just that would be just from also my own. Like whoever I would play with, I would probably have like certain level of stress to play. In general, I mean, when we play at the rec and stuff, there's always that like one thing that like because you can never be perfect, but you always want to be perfect on the court. And with Jokic playing with him, like I might even take some edge off of him because I would be probably mad at the other players like in a similar way because I can in school I could be a condescending prick. So so that's that probably I mean
That's the first step. Admitting it, that's the first step
yeah, that's true.
in
Well, so
growing.
but
Yeah.
then accepting it is like I don't care. Like whenever everyone else thinks that's the full circle. So I mean, yeah, I think it would be fun just because also just the the Yugoslavian school of basketball would be pretty fun to apply. And I think that like you can see like his players around him are learning the stuff that he brings to the table. So I think that's why I think Gordon is having so much fun because I don't think anyone ever told him some stuff like before like that, and he like didn't look at basketball maybe from that perspective that Jokic maybe showed him, or like even the coaches and stuff. So I think that would be that would be another reason why it would be fun just to learn more things. And because sometimes you don't know what you don't know sometimes, and you're like he was like, hey, you can do this, and like, oh wow, like that's crazy.
You made a
So
great point about him being a part of Yugoslav school of basketball, because he really is the perfect example of that school. He is the guy with perfect instincts, with perfect technique, with perfect vision, and
yeah,
everybody there is taught to play like that. And of course, the best ones will show that. We will speak a bit later about
yeah,
Serbian legend that was Jokic before Jokic. So yeah, I
yeah.
agree. So let's
Eh,
rank some other players
yeah. Let's do
on
that.
this. Yeah. So I have some pretty fun names. Let's start with James Harden, and not James Harden of today that
Yeah.
has Kevin Durant next to him, but let's pretend it's Houston Rockets James Harden. So what is the stress and fun level with him? What do you think?
Oof, man. For fun, I don't even know. It would be like I think because if we have our one as our baseline, I guess it's
Yeah.
probably always be one because I don't know. He's not going to give you. You're not going to get 20 shots. You might. I mean, there were players, but I think more. I mean, I don't even know if it's stress or just boring, like watching him maybe like do his thing, and you just sit there and like get the shots, and then that would probably correlate with being stressful because you can't just sit around the 3 point line and wait for a shot all day, and you don't touch the ball for a while, and then you expect it to make it because you're going to get so many opportunities. So I think like would be probably a lot more stressful. And then especially going back on defense, then you gotta for most of the years, except like maybe 1 or 2 years when he actually tried a little bit harder, then you have to cover him on defense and get his mistakes out. I mean, I can't even imagine like this year how it is with his effort. So I think it's more stressful than fun. What do you
Oh,
think?
definitely. You get that grenade 2 seconds before the end of a shot clock, and I always call that forced assists, because you have
Yeah,
no other option but to shoot the ball, and if you hit it like 30% of time, that still gets to 12 assists for
yeah,
Harden. This is how he got that almost triple double season several years ago.
yeah.
Okay, let's go now to LeBron James. What do you think?
Oof, man,
That's a tough one.
it's tough one because it might be like the Jokic like 1-1 because you have to get in his circle probably to have the most fun. But then also like I think he's more on the surface demanding and like you can see his maybe more frustration in even in maybe inside the locker room more even than on the court. It's tough. It probably like a balance because I think still like maybe those Miami years I would watch with my friends. I'm like, oof, man, to be that guy in the corner, but not just doing the the Houston thing, just sitting in the corner, but actually like he knows how to get you involved, and you basically have a job of just punishing the late defense. Usually either means you're going to get a layup or a dunk or an open shot, but you also have to like be engaged, not just sit there. Because then if you shift an angle, then you have to shift an angle on the court. So I think there's still a 1-on-1. I think he's the most similar to Jokic in that way.
Yeah, the only reason I think there is a bit more stress there is because if you're a young guy and he talks nice things about you on the pressers, that means you're going to get traded on the deadline for his
Yeah, yeah,
body.
yeah. That's true.
So
Yeah, you're right. Like that's that. I forgot about that factor during that. I was
yes,
just thinking about playing. But yeah, yeah.
yeah, yeah, but you
You
just
have
cannot
that.
forget that part. So for
Yeah,
me,
yeah.
it's 2-1 in favor of stress for
Fair,
sure.
fair.
Okay, let's go to
Yeah.
Steph Curry. That should be interesting.
Oh, I think for him might be just all fun and just with him. Like I'm not counting Draymond in that pair. Like because Draymond I think brings the stress
Yeah.
and Curry's like I think is fun because he like you set screens for him. Then you look at that, the jitterbug shots, like the shimmying, like he's actually expressing like his emotion. He's glad that other people like are having fun with him, which is one of those things again like with Jokic that we really like that he could do more. Like just because he has that singular focus in the game, like so he doesn't like acknowledge even when he's on fire. So like he doesn't, like how someone makes a shot, like maybe it has to be like a really big one to get to bust through his like exterior, to his like tough exterior. With Curry's like he's just full of like emotions on his sleeves type. Like you can see when he's on the other hand you can see when he's pounding, but you feel that energy with him when he starts making. And then well, we saw how it was with Clay. Like Clay was breaking his record and like he was feeding the ball and like being happy that happened. So I think is a lot of fun and like low stress because that's his role again. Like he's the main guy, but then you have the Draymond that brings that accountability more than probably Steph does. Is what we can see from the outside. Maybe within the locker room, maybe it's a little bit different, but from what we can tell, like it's a lot of fun.
I agree with you that Steph is pure fun, and this is why they're like a 500 team with him and without Draymond.
Yeah, maybe,
so you need to have the stress part as well. It's not enough.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I had a longer list here, but I don't want to go too long on this.
No, I think we can go. I think we can go. We have some time. Like I think we can go because we have a few more things. Yeah, we can stretch it out.
Okay, let's go then to Giannis.
Again, one of the tough ones. I mean, I think it's fun because I think he's also very supportive. Like, and I don't think you get mad at him. The stress level there would be coming from the anger of, man, he wish he just doesn't take a pull up shot like a few times in a row. But then again, then he just dives for you on defense, and covers your end on there, and like then he actually is like again similar thing with Steph. Like he has that ferocity. So I think it's maybe like 1.5 to 1 fun to stress, like a little bit more fun. I mean, for me too, I really think he's that good of a guy outside of the court that you want to be with him in battle, and I think that's the fun part.
I want him in Denver so bad, man. That's the perfect superstar next to you. Just perfect, just like Aaron Gordon on steroids. It's just perfection, really. Okay, let's now go to Joel Embiid.
Ooh, for me personally, I think I would have like 1 to 2 fun stress. Like I don't. I mean, just based on the fact you never know. Like you never know when he's gonna get hurt. I don't like watching free throws even when I'm playing. Like I would just hate it. Like I would get embarrassed sometimes the stuff that he gets called. Just like sitting there. I'm like, yeah, I gotta like say that, good job, and he got the free throws, gonna get the points. But you're watching there. I'm like, I mean, I guess he got the foul. Like I guess he hit it maybe. So that part. I mean, for just personal, I'm saying like from personal perspective. Passing off the double was always an issue, losing balls that way, and then because those passes, like if he's not that great, like those passes are not Jokic pass, like they're not pocket, for shooters in the pocket. So,
and you still don't have a lot of time to do anything else but shoot it,
yeah, because because his passes are later probably by second than Jokic's are, because Jokic usually sees the double team and knows processing before. But otherwise, I mean, I think he's like a decent guy to everyone. I think he like goes to battle for his guys. But then again, but there's that stress of like him just bailing on you Game 7 press conference with Simmons. Yeah, it's like that's what this that's the stuff. Like I like him. He's a great player, but those are the things that for me, similarly like with LeBron, that I have issues with. That's why my personal preference is like to some other players. But yeah, like he can just bail on you and then like call you out on Instagram, and then you have the stress of like he might not show up for that game because of injuries. Like just before the game, they can he has a sore knee, and eating McDonald's before games and stuff, and then you still want to be in that top tier, like, and that again, that also is like personally why I'm miffed that he gets pushed so much for the MVPs and stuff, because I don't think he's earned it like as much as Jokic has, and Jokic isn't getting as much love. So
yeah. I agree. And the weirdest superstar of the NBA, we haven't seen him for some time, Kawhi Leonard. Yeah. What do you think?
Ooh, that's a weird one. I think that's. I don't know how. I mean, I don't know. I mean, didn't look like anyone was having fun. I mean, it was having fun playing with Lowry in Toronto and like Fred VanVleet, but Kawhi, like, I don't know. Maybe I think it's just all business. You come in there, you like. Maybe that's why it's less stressful, I guess. Like, because you know what to expect from him, and he's gonna do the thing, and you can keep going. Like, there's not much. Maybe he's not gonna talk to you like and yell at you, so maybe that's less stressful. I don't know. What do you think?
Whew. It's really strange because sometimes it looks to me like he's in a team of his own. Like there are 4 guys and then there's him. He just plays his game, just goes for the isolations, just goes for that mid range that is really deadly and really effective. And I don't know what the other guys do at those times, really. And I guess he had some games even against the Nuggets in that embarrassment in 7 games against the Nuggets. He had some games with like 10 or 12 assists. So it's not like he doesn't ever play good. It's just that he's a really strange.
Yeah, but
he's a really strange guy.
Yeah, but don't you think that's like then it's also like a neutral, because like you're not having as much fun, but then also stress wise, like he's not gonna do the raising.
He doesn't expect anything from you. So you're right.
So that's interesting. So what do we have? KD? Is that what
let's do KD. We have for KD we even have a request here in the chat.
Oh yeah, that's right. Well, I don't know. It's all of those are like, you don't know. I think it'll be good, because I think he has that, like, he wants to be a part of a team, like the fact that he went to Golden State. So I think if you're just hardworking teammate, I think he'll be fun, because I know he's one of those, maybe he's like on the Kawhi side of like he doesn't expect anything from you because he's been carrying his teams a lot. So he's not gonna yell that much on you. He maybe like get upset, but you do your job and it's gonna be all cool with him. So maybe that's more of like a fun way to go, and then just looking at being his teammate, being like around that greatness, maybe it'll be like a fun thing. So
especially late in the game when he just takes the ball and just decides the game. That's not very stressful for the other guys as well. So,
definitely that too. With
I like KD. I mean, I wouldn't mind him playing in Denver as well. It wouldn't be the worst thing for Denver. Yeah.
Well, yeah, of course. Yeah. What was the trade Facu for KD? Like, that's the expectation from.
Facu and a filler, of course.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
We understand how this CBA works.
Right, a cash. Kroenke wins the Super Bowl and just sends it over. Is there anyone left?
No. I think we covered all the main ones. I mean, I don't want to speak a lot about Dame Lillard. I don't know what you have a lot of stress because you have to cover on him for him on defense all the time, and he's still going to Dame Lillard.
Oh, Lillard.
No, Dame Lillard. So you have to wait for his grenades. His shots from 30 feet or whatever. I don't know.
Here's a good one from Abel in the comments. John Morant. I think that would be crazy fun. Like he's insane.
Oh yeah.
Like he's the new budding superstar. So I think he's like on the Curry level of, you want to also like go to, because like a Giannis Curry, mixture, because he's fun. He will hold you accountable, but I think like he will also have the utmost confidence in whoever's next to him. And you see like how the whole team just evolved with him, and I think that would be super fun. Like because like I think like especially for some guys, like for from personal, like I'm not an emotive guy on the court. I think he would bring it out of a person like me, just to get that, like Desmond Bane's talking trash with him, and like that kind of stuff, like the bad boys of like the modern era. So I think that would be really cool.
Yeah. Okay, so let's now pivot to the new segment. I don't know if it will be recurring or not. We'll see how it looks like after this week. But Jokic media availability, Serbian questions. So it was suggested. It's the Kafana Jokic. We don't have the actual graphics for that, Eric. I hope you're watching this. So, as suggested by a nice guy that goes by Denver Nuggets fans on Twitter. I was keying on the Serbian language questions on the media availability for Jokic after every game, and this is what we got this week. Bear in mind that the questions are asked by a journalist who is not a basketball journalist, but he is a guy that covers all the things that might interest Serbia that happens in the States. So his questions, for one television. Actually, it's a radio called Radio Avala, and that's like a Serbian-speaking radio based in Chicago.
Yeah, so this is a cool. It's a cool segment. Just we were suggested that because people don't understand what in media availability what he's being asked, and sometimes it's very interesting. So we might as well take some time and each week, if we're good questions, to like tell you guys what it was said.
Yeah, so we'll see if it will be interesting for you this week. Yeah, so versus Milwaukee, Alexander Žigić, the guy I was talking about, asked, Nikola, I congratulate you on a big win. What is your resume of the game? What did you think about the Serbian fans in the stands and the Serbian folklore at the halftime? And also, please comment on your selection for the All-Star game. And Nikola answered, it was a great game, brother. We won every quarter. No, he didn't say brother. We won every quarter. We had great percentages from the field. We had a lot of assists. He was literally reading from the box score. And we only had 9 turnovers. Nobody can defeat us when we play like we did tonight.
Like that, yeah.
It was one of the best games since I got to Denver. And that's a really nice thing to hear, because I don't think we heard that in English. And for the All-Star game, I'm always glad to be there to represent myself, my hometown, my family, and my team. He forgot to answer the part about the Serbian folklore and the Serbian fans in the stands, because there is no back and forth on these remote sessions. So the journalists couldn't remind him to answer that part as well. So the answer is as generic as the question was. Okay, so versus Minnesota, Alexander Žigić asked, Nikola, you've played great tonight, 21, 16, and 8. It was a blowout loss. And he said, you played great, 21, 16, and 8. I'm not sure he even watched the game. It's interesting that the NBA awarded you with the triple-double for the last game. Nikola rolls his eyes. We didn't have the chance to speak about you being voted for the All-Star game, even though he asked that. And interestingly enough, the All-Star game is going to be on your birthday. Give me your few words about it. But more importantly, you have a game tomorrow. Tell me how you're going to prepare for that game. Nikola answered.
It's a long question.
Yeah, it is. It's like 5 questions in one. Nikola answered, as for today, Minnesota was better. Give them credit. The guys played really well and outplayed us in every facet of the game. They were more aggressive. They shot better. They had better movement. They out-rebounded us on the offensive end. And that's a big thing, actually. Out-rebounded on the offensive end, because that's an important stuff. About the All-Star game, I've spent several birthdays there. I don't usually celebrate it. It's a nice place to be for your birthday. Tomorrow we play against Utah. It's a tough opponent. This will be our 2nd or 3rd time to play it against them on a 2nd night of back-to-back. But we'll see. I hope we will be playing better than tonight. And then he didn't play in that game. And finally, versus Pelicans, Alexander Žigić asked, Nikola, I congratulate you on 25 points, 12 rebounds, 9 assists, again on the verge of triple-double. How do you view the game that just happened? And I congratulate you on the Player of the Month honors, and tell me, how are you going to prepare for an early game versus the Nets? And this was the most interesting answer this week. He said about the game, it was a strange game that looked really slow to me, but they were living in our paint. It was really easy for them to score inside. In some situations, we didn't even contest the shots, and that's mostly on me. And then on the other guys of the team. We had our chances late, but we missed some open shots, and they've scored every time. Thanks again for nice words about the Player of the Month honors. Next game starts early, yada, yada. We have a training tomorrow. Hope to play better, and so on. So, yeah, until Voya or me get accredited for these games, we will get these kind of questions. And I'm not shitting on Alexander Žigić. He's a nice guy. I got to know him on a TV appearance once. But he's not a basketball journalist. We have basketball journalists in Serbia, and for some reason, none of them are accredited. Maybe it's because of the time difference or whatever. But hopefully, because Nikola really gives sometimes really good answers if he gets a proper question in Serbian, like we saw in that interview for the New Year's we spoke a month ago about.
Yeah, so, it's always interesting with him, like even in English, that when he takes accountability, that's the best thing, because like he says, from him, starting from him, then the rest, and then including the missing shots at the end. I don't think that was a diss towards anyone else too, because he missed shots at the end too. Like he had shots. I mean, he had 3 overall, but he had 1 that was in the time when the stuff was the game was like breaking. So It's always good. I mean, I saw that he was for Harrison, that he said, to Harrison, that the energy, asked about what energy was on the court. He's like, at first for me, like it wasn't there, so basically wasn't present. So it's I mean, it's fine. Like I don't give it any creed. Like this is how the season is, and it's first game after a road trip too, so usually gets
Yeah,
a
it is kind of like a end of road trip. So
yeah.
yeah, let's hope it will get better.
Cool. Yeah, let's finish up with the like Serbian fun fact of the week. We had Vlade Divac. His birthday was 2 days ago, right? That's what we call
Yeah,
it.
it was his 54th birthday, and because he is the first big basketball name from Serbia to play in the NBA, I think we should talk about him for a couple of minutes.
Yeah,
So Vlade started playing, let's say, high level basketball in Partizan Belgrade in I think it was in '85,
yeah.
something like
By
that.
the way, this is a fun fact. I don't know if people realize Aaron Gordon's older brother played for this team in Serbia. We came from San Diego
Oh,
State.
that's right. That's
So he
right.
put, yeah, Eric Gordon. Yeah. Oh, is it Eric?
No, that's not Eric. It's
No, it's fine. Drew
we'll look
Drew
it up.
Gordon. Drew Gordon.
Drew Gordon. That's right.
That's right.
That's right. So Vlade, with the national team of Yugoslavia, has won two FIBA World Cup gold medals, two Olympic silver medals, and three Eurobasket gold medals. We see him here at the beginning of his career next to Dražen Petrovic, and now we see him here next to screaming Charles Barkley in Atlanta in '96. He played for 8 seasons for the Lakers. Fucking Lakers, where he was a starter in the finals in 1991. In his sophomore year, he averaged 18 points and 9 rebounds next to Magic Johnson. They've lost to Michael Jordan and the Chicago Bulls for Chicago's first championship. Then he played for 2 seasons for the old Charlotte Hornets next to Glenn Rice.
Yeah, that was the famous. That's the famous trade. Yeah.
Yeah, trade for. Actually, that was a trade that allowed both Kobe Bryant and Shaq O'Neal to come to the Lakers because they needed to get off Divac's money and also to trade Divac for Kobe, who was like an 18-year-old back then. So after that, he played for 5 seasons for the Sacramento Kings, the only good seasons in the history of Sacramento part of that franchise.
That's fair.
He went to the Western Conference Finals in 2002 when Sacramento was eliminated by the effing Lakers in 7 games with a lot of help from the referees. His number,
admittedly, help from was it Donahue? It was that scandals and stuff. So yeah.
His number 20. His number 21 is retired in Sacramento because he's a legend over there. Yeah. He was an all-star in 2001 after many years of waiting to get a chance in the era of David Robinson, Hakeem Olajuwon, Shaquille O'Neal in the West, and Patrick Ewing and Dikembe Mutombo in the East. He is one of only 5 players in NBA history to hit 13,000 points, 9,000 rebounds, 3,500 assists, and 1,500 blocks. The other 4 guys, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Kevin Garnett, Tim Duncan, and Pau Gasol. Man, Pau Gasol is so underrated. He had such a great career.
Yep.
Vlade is the first player born and trained outside of the US to play in at least 1,000 games in the NBA, and he was elected to the Naismith Memorial Basketball Hall of Fame in 2019.
Yeah, and that was a lot of talk around when he got selected of he shouldn't have been the national selecting, and it's one of those annoying things about just NBA fans, and that's another thing's annoying thing about America with that condescending towards the other side of the world, in a lot of aspects, and this is one of them. Was nothing else except NBA matters, because it's a Naismith Basketball Hall of Fame. It's not NBA Basketball Hall of Fame, and he had with NBA he had good career there, but then outside of it they were really international competitions, they were good, really good. And so I think that was also a stupid conversation because, Shaq was making fun of him all the time for flopping, on TV. So he's, kind of he's not a Shaq and a fool guy, but they talk about him in that sense. like when you say like Vlade and like it's like a bad thing, which is idiotic. Like he's one of the best players that comes out of Europe, and he was like the beginning of the the Jokic type of players that come from home. Like he was all around. He just that game wasn't at that level of freedom, I guess, and spacing to fully use that. Also, he played with Chris Webber, who was also a passer, so they kind of split those up. It wasn't like a heliocentric center, but just like a there. So I mean, it was and those teams back home were just insane. Sacramento teams. I mean, popular wise, like that was the first, like they were the Nuggets before the night before
Yeah,
the
Nuggets
before
before the
the
Nuggets for sure.
yeah, cool.
For
All right,
sure.
we hit the hour. Let's say hi to everyone. Thank you for watching.
Oh,
Follow us.
we had one. Sorry, we had one. I just remember we had one super chat we need to hit on
Yeah.
because it's a super chat. Please do it next time in English, not in Serbian, because this is the English Serbian show. But this basically
It
says,
says like say hi to everyone. Let's help
yeah,
from the motherland.
help from the motherland, helping our guys, our DNVR guys, get to Serbia this summer, and it looks like it's really happening very soon.
Cool. Yeah. So thanks. Follow everywhere. DNVR Nuggets on all the platforms. DNVR. We're on Twitter too. See our stuff. You can see us also in Serbian for Serbian fans and Nuggets Serbia channel. So cool. Yeah. Miro, you can sign us off, I guess. Idemo Nuggets.
Idemo Nuggets.